All right, we are diving deep into one of the most epic stories ever told, the War in Heaven. But we're going to look at it from a slightly different angle. Not just as a simple story of good guys versus bad guys, but as a real philosophical tragedy, a clash of huge, world-shaping ideas. The whole thing really boils down to this one central, fascinating question. How does a perfect being living in actual paradise wake up one day and decide to wage war against his own creator? That's the mystery we're trying to unpack here. And this line, this single line from Isaiah, just captures the scale of it all, doesn't it? The tragedy is just baked right in. It's not just falling from a place, it's a fall from a state of being. It perfectly sets the stage for a story of incredible loss and cosmic consequences. So how did it all begin? Well, it wasn't with a big dramatic clash of swords. Nope. It started with something way more subtle and, honestly, way more dangerous. Whispered words. The rebellion began as an idea, a really seductive argument planted in the minds of the angels. To really get the fall, you have to understand who exactly fell. We're not talking about some minor angel in the back ranks. As the text from Ezekiel points out, Lucifer was the pinnacle of creation, the anointed cherub, perfect in wisdom, perfect in beauty. He was the one closest to the throne, which is what made his turn so unbelievably shocking. And this is where we see his brilliant strategy. He doesn't just storm in and yell, "Rebel!" Now, he masterfully reframes their entire reality. He paints their worship as this meaningless, endless repetition. He takes their joyful service and recasts it as degrading servitude. Then he starts asking these dangerous questions about dominion and dangles the ultimate temptation, the idea that their true potential was being held back. And this quote right here, this shows his rhetorical genius. He wraps up his raw ambition in the beautiful language of liberation. See, he isn't proposing rebellion. He's proposing self-actualization. And let's be honest, who wouldn't be tempted by the promise of becoming an equal to God, especially when it's delivered with so much charisma? So, you might ask, how effective was this? Get this. A full third of the entire heavenly host was persuaded by his arguments. That number is just staggering. It tells you that Lucifer's ideas weren't just compelling, they were infectious. They spread like a virus through the celestial realms and shattered the perfect unity of heaven. Okay, so with a third of heaven now in open rebellion, how does the other side respond? Well, it's not with immediate, overwhelming force. Instead, it's with a profound explanation of its own character, revealing what the source material calls the divine dilemma. The divine response hinges on this absolutely crucial point: free will. For love to mean anything at all, it has to be a choice, right? If the angels were just programmed like robots to worship, their praise would be empty. Real, genuine devotion can only exist if the option to not love is also on the table. And the divine character is presented as this perfect balance. Love without the structure of justice? That's not really love, it's just flimsy emotion. But justice without the warmth of love? Well, that's just cold, hard cruelty. The two are completely inseparable, two sides of the same coin, the very foundation that Lucifer is trying to crack. And this question, this gets to the absolute heart of the conflict. It's the divine counterargument to every single one of Lucifer's accusations. The logic is simple, but it's powerful. A universe where rebellion is impossible is also a universe where genuine love is impossible. The risk of one is the price you pay for the other. So the philosophical stage is set. The arguments have all been laid out. And now this Cold War of ideas is about to turn hot. The debate escalates into open accusation, and words become weapons. With this declaration, boom, the mask is completely off. Lucifer's raw ambition is just laid bare for everyone to see. He's not just questioning the system anymore, he's declaring his intent to overthrow it. This is his final transformation into Satan, the adversary, completely consumed by his own pride. This table does a fantastic job of breaking down Satan's strategy. He takes every single divine attribute and just twists it into an accusation. He rebrands mercy as weakness. He paints justice as tyranny. He claims God as some jealous dictator, when the divine principle is actually a desire to share glory. It's a masterclass in cosmic propaganda. So after twisting God's character, Satan starts launching these questions that frankly have echoed through the ages. His first challenge right here is a direct attack on divine power. His second attack goes right after divine wisdom. It's such a clever trap, isn't it? It suggests that God is either not all-knowing or that he's somehow responsible for the rebellion he saw coming. It's a question designed to sow the maximum amount of doubt. And finally, he attacks the very nature of divine love itself. He puts God's love and God's justice against each other, trying to frame condemnation not as a consequence of free choice, but as a failure of love. With these three questions, Satan tries to pull the entire foundation of the divine order out from under itself. Well, the time for talking is officially over. The philosophical battle has hit its breaking point. The war of words explodes into a war of worlds, a physical, spiritual clash for the future of heaven itself. As you can see, the climax unfolds in 4 really dramatic stages. First, a final offer of mercy is thrown out, and it's rejected. Then the forces clash, with Michael the archangel leading the charge. And in the heat of it all, Satan's fatal flaw is exposed. His pride is so great, he cannot bring himself to repent. So the only possible outcome is that tragic final step, expulsion. And this powerful passage from Revelation just seals the deal. The adversary and all his followers are cast out. The war in heaven is over. But, and this is a big but, this very act ensures that the war for creation is really just beginning. And that's the ultimate consequence, the big takeaway. This isn't just some ancient one-off story. No, it establishes the template for the central conflict, the great controversy, that defines the entire cosmic narrative. The questions that were first raised in heaven will now have to be answered on a brand new battleground. So this ancient cosmic story leaves us all with a very modern, very personal question. At the end of the day, it all boils down to the choice you see on your screen: serve a perfect order or try to create your own. And when you look around at the world we live in today, which of those two choices do you think really defines it?